Chapter 6. Frost and Fire. Reyth strung up the deer, then dressed it down, cutting each leg to the belly. Dry blood thick in the air alongside the tangibleness of raw meat. She'd kept the guts to stuff with fat and cook over the fire. Not that she'd any urgency to eat. Through darkness thick as tar she worked. By the clumsiness of touch she felt out for her deft work. Once the right cuts were made, she removed the head. The skin was ready to peel when she heard the shape of someone approaching her home. The steps she knew too well. They were not who she was expecting, nor who she desired to see, not that she could. One more, and this would be her 20th skinning to date, since she'd lost her sight. Elbow deep in blood, she yanked, and like tender meat off a rib, the skin peeled away with a sound of snapping seams. It'd need to be washed, tanned, and prepared before she could get anything of value for it. Until then she could parcel out the meat and bones for some of the strange new goods Comet had been telling her of. "Ray?" said Arik as the canvas rustled over him. In her mind's eye stood a vibrant and exuberant man. Younger than her father, having just returned from the warpath, he'd have decorated himself with jewels and paints. She'd heard yesterday that he'd taken to carrying a weapon of the outsiders rather than her mother's bow. He surely looked more a warrior than he was. "Do you not know you've ruined another pelt?" Arik said, but he'd sounded tired. Exactly as one ought to after trouncing off with Kamut and Boda and the rest of anyone who could help her fish, to steal Sangar knows what from the outsiders. It would be nice if someone strong would take her fishing, but better if one knew how to fish for her. She needed someone to help her find her way. "What you think? Think I can see it?" Her vicious words left him silent. She snorted and kicked the deerskin away. Sliding in viscera, Arik caught Reyth mid-fall. He stunk of sweat, but how could that be? He'd the sour stench of the sycamore springs, metal and brine. "I was a fool, "Sniff it, uncle. They call you a man of the currents, yeah? Go see where Turnus's takes ya." She shoved away, hoping her words pricked the sorrowful man, but if she felt pity for anyone, it wasn't her uncle. "Ray, please, I've come to ask." He paused and tried to touch her, but she swiped him away like a bear. "Nah, to earn me forgiveness," he shouted. "Go away," she growled. "I'll beg," he said, and did not continue, nor did she bid him speak. Reyth huffed and puffed and returned to work. "Not like I can do but listen." She felt for pins and stretched the skin over the rack. "You're as stubborn as your pap. I know I should feed the Nesha's hunger." He stepped into her way, forcing her again away from her work. So she tried to pound her fist against him. He caught it with his chest. "Come into town with me. There's wonderful things to see." "You stupid Arik." Unable to proceed with her work, but unable to do anything about this intruder either, she gave up and sat, knees against her forehead as she tried burying herself from him. Yet even that he forbade as he tried to pry down into the tears she hid beneath. "I don't want to go," she said. "Just leave." He stepped away from her, and though she knew Arik did not step far, he felt a land away. "I did not know. Scylla tricked me too." "And did you try to stop her when she left?" Reyth cried. "I did not stutter ya sniffer. Leave." "Ray—" His voice broke off, and he shook his head. "Nah, Ray, ya Tam shepherded me from the day I was young. She was like you were to Evren. I loved her son, I loved Jor, I love you, if... Shepherds take me now if I do not suffer every day for what I did." His straining voice came closer as he pleaded with her. "But Ray, wonders and healers who are wise beyond the oldest oaks, beyond the winds and the mountains and Tyrannus. A holy man says things no speaker knows. His words have real power." She flicked a splatter of blood in his face. "Yaz as fickle as the wind, uncle, for fuck's sake. Reyth, a great man, has—" And Reyth hurled the innards at Arik from the floor. She must have gotten some in his mouth because he spat. "You talking to strangers now? You kissing too?" knows about your eyes. He can help you." "You been talking about me eyes? He gonna bring back me pap and brother?" Reyth said. "You best not say much more or you'll be joining 'em." "Ray, please, please." She couldn't handle him. She was pathetic and got her anger and guilt all mixed up. She slung a pile of bones into a bindle and started to leave the tent. "Where you going?" "To Twind, away from you." "Nah, come with me to Quatin. Can't go to Twind, you know. Not since the smoke. You saw Naw?" "Saw it half as good as you, I guess." "By the breath, child, I've been on the warpath. I know what makes the smoke. I've seen worse things than smoke, but I sure am glad I can't see you." But he grabbed her, pulling her into him. Bones clattered across the floor. She tried biting him, but caught fur. Didn't matter. She ripped and thrashed, trying to break free. "Damn you, girl! Listen! You go trouncing off like that now on your own, and you're gonna get yourself killed just like everyone else." Auric overpowered her. Maybe once she'd beaten him at a wrestle, but she'd grown weaker in these breathless days, in which she'd had but one great vision of everything, the moons and stars, the eyes of the cosmos and the eyes of yellow. She'd grown so weak Auric pulled Reyth to her knees and embraced her. He'd grown warm within the fire, but too he'd grown weak just as she. She'd given when she'd felt it, the worrisome brittleness of his bones and in his voice. When it came to it, she really didn't want to hurt him. She didn't have much left after all. "Fine," she said, and laid her head against his shoulder. "Good," he muttered. "Let's gather the mithrite. We're going to need it." Reyth paused. Her ears had not deceived her. What had he said? "Of what do you speak?" "Sorry," he said. "I do mean the holy moss. I have been speaking too much with strangers. I only wish you could see them. Some of them are a wonder. A man of stone and a gecko bigger than me, who can make a man breathe fire with just embers and moss together. Wonder and light, animals unlike any before, treasures that could make us prosper again. It is all very much to behold, and I wish so very much that you could see it." And on that they did agree.